Hello everyone, this is Mr. Mo and welcome to Season 1 of the Jacksonville Jaguars in my franchise. We are here, ready to go in training camp. Let me explain the rules for training camp that I have in my franchise that I wish Madden had in the video game itself. The two rules are training camp lasts for 6 weeks, and each week a random event will occur. And these events could bring positive or negative changes to the team as we prepare for the preseason and then, of course, the regular season. And so the first week of training camp, our first random event was prioritizing your time. You, as the head coach, decide to prioritize your focus this week during training camp. What do you choose? The first choice, focus on implementing player-friendly drills that are unique and novel for the players. Spending time interacting with the players in a cordial way. This would give me a D20 to help my approval rating with the players. I did not choose option A because my approval rating is already 60 and I felt like I needed to work on other things other than my approval rating with the players. The second option, B, you focus your time working with the lead coaching staff. You spend extra time in the film room focusing on new concepts. Select one of the following: offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, or special teams coordinator, and then that coordinator would improve one level of their choice and gain one level in loyalty. That's the one I chose, and so we'll get to that in just a moment. I didn't choose option C or D. Option C basically would be the same thing as option B, but instead of working with the coordinators, you're working with the positional coach. And then option D is pushing the players hardcore and driving them with tenacity and trying to get the most out of them in training camp. If you notice, that would basically have 3 of my players, they would be motivated by that, and their awareness would go up by D10, and their morale would go up by D10. But then there would also be 3 players that would be unmotivated by that approach, and their awareness and morale would decrease by D6. And instead of choosing that one, which was my second choice, I decided actually to go with option B, which would be working with my defensive coordinator. The reason I chose this is I like my defensive coordinator Vargas's rating and his work ethic, but I'm concerned about his loyalty. And so by doing this, I spent some time with Vargas. We worked in the film room, and therefore I improved his work ethic from the B to a B+, and his loyalty now from a D to a C-. And so I'm hoping this extra time working with Vargas will not only help my defense, which obviously is the most important reason to do this, but also help improve his loyalty and maybe get him to stick around for a couple years with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then we went to the second week, and I had a position change. I had a meeting with my coaches, and one of them suggested that a certain player would have a better fit in a different position. If I would like to, I could change one player's position to a different one. Well, after taking some time to look at my players, I decided to go with moving Daniel Thomas from strong safety to middle linebacker, since I will be playing a 3-4 defense. As you can see, Thomas is undersized at this position, but it's the change we as coaches decided to implement. So moving Daniel Thomas from strong safety to 3-4, he'll be one of the smaller middle linebackers in the game, but I'm hoping his speed will make up for that in certain ways. Then we move on to the third week. We had some offensive position coaches. This random event says your offensive positional coaches are working hard with the players, getting their offensive skills game ready for the preseason. The number of players helped is determined by the first chart based on the rating of your offensive coordinator. Once you determine the number of players, randomly roll to see which players on your roster were improved, then use the second chart to see how much the players will improve, which is based on the rating of your positional coach that governs that player. Finally, use the third chart to see what offensive rating was improved by rolling the appropriate die in relation to the player's position. So it sounds like a lot, but basically, my offensive positional coaches worked with some players, and it really got some progress made. And so these were the 3 improvements that happened in this week of training camp. I had a wide receiver, my center, and a right guard go up in some areas, and let me explain how that happened. So the first area we have to look at was my offensive coordinator's influence. My offensive coordinator is a C+, thus by looking at the chart, I got to influence in a positive way 3 players. And so then it was rolled to see who the players were, and that was rolled randomly, and the first player I got was Johnson. Johnson was a wide receiver. So then I looked at the positional coach influence, and my wide receivers coach is a C+. So you'll look to see the rating increase is rolled by a D4. So Johnson was going to go up anywhere between 1 and 4 points. But what area would he go up in? Well, if you look at the final chart over on this side, the offensive rating improved. You look at the wide receivers column, and I rolled, and I got catching. And so in this case, he went up by a +2. I rolled the D4 and I got a 2. So Johnson's catching went up +2. I was pretty pleased with that. Then the second improvement was a player for Martin, which is a center. And then one of the great things about that is my line coach is an A. And I was pretty stoked about that because my line is pretty weak. And so that's why I did get a great offensive line coach. And then I rolled to see where the change would occur. And it happened in pass block, which made me very excited about that. Unfortunately, when I rolled the 6-sided die, I got a 1. So Martin is only going to be going up 1 in pass block. And then the final change occurred to Johnson, my right guard. Once again, I used the same positional coach of an A, so I got to roll a 6-sided die. And I got to roll for what rating was improved, and this time it was lead block. And I was pretty pleased with that. And then I got a 6 on the die rolls. So Johnson went up 6 in lead block. So I thought that was a great change. So overall, these 3 improvements all helped my team, but definitely Johnson's going up in 6 in lead block is very beneficial. So that was a good week of training camp for him especially. Then we went into week 4, and week 4 random event was the equipment manager was busy getting requests from the players. One of your players decided at random is demanding a new number. Once the player is selected, give the player a new number. Chasen was the player that asked for the number change. He was rolled randomly, and I did a little research, and he wore 18 in college. So I had him switch from the 45 that Madden had given him to the number 18, which is the number that he wore at LSU. So that was the 4th week random event. Not much happened there, more of a cosmetic change. Week 5, the defensive coaches, positional coaches, were getting the players ready for the preseason. And so I did some rolling for this. Fortunately for me, my defensive coordinator is got a B+ rating, so he gets to help 4 players. And so the 4 players that I rolled randomly are Stribling the cornerback, Summers the quarterback, and Nickerson the quarterback. So I had 3 cornerbacks that were rolled for, and then also Thomas. If you remember, I switched him to middle linebacker. And so a very similar process is used. For Stribling, my defensive backs coach is a D rating, and so I got to roll a 3-sided die. And it happened in pursuit for him, and I rolled and I got a 1, so Stribling went up +1 in pursuit. Then the second player I rolled for was Summers. Once again, the position coach said D. I rolled and got a 3 that time, and then the topic that he got for was play recognition. And then the next player was Thomas. He's a middle linebacker now that I switched. And the linebackers coach for me is a B-, so he got to roll a D5. And fortunately, I did roll a 5. Unfortunately, though, he got it in press. So I don't know if you'll use press much as a middle linebacker, but maybe next year if I draft a middle linebacker early in the draft, I might move Thomas back to safety, and then that press coverage might be better served. But as of now, he went up in 5 in press. Probably won't be utilized much this year at middle linebacker. And then my 4th improvement was Nickerson. Once again, a D positional coach rating. I rolled a 3-sided die. I did get a 3 again. And then I also rolled pursuit for Nickerson as well. So Stribling and Nickerson went up in pursuit, Summers in play recognition, and Thomas went up in press. And then the next week was the equipment manager was busy once again, but this time it was for an equipment change itself. So I had to roll a random die to determine who the player was, and then roll to see what type of equipment that they changed. I rolled Dimitri Flowers, my fullback, and he decided to add a team color shooter sleeve for his right arm. So once again, this is an aesthetic change, but it is part of the training camp process. Well, that is all for the training camp of Season 1 of the Jacksonville Jaguars franchise. If you like what you see here, please do me a big favor. Subscribe to my channel and click that like button. Also, feel free to spread the word to other franchise fans who are looking to make their Madden experience unique and more enjoyable than what Madden currently offers. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.